Hello, this is Life After the Impact. I am Roxanne Johnson. My son's name is Jamal Bird. He was killed by DC Metropolitan Police on October the 1st, 2019. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Latoya. How you doing, Latoya?
What's up, Roxanne? What's up, you guys? My name is Latoya. I'm sorry, Latoya Benson. My husband, like, what? Latoya Benson. I am the mother of Xavier Hill. Xavier was killed January the 9th, 2021, by two Virginia State Troopers. Y'all, we're back at it again, unfortunately, this week. As we want to say always, we like to continue our episodes about education, but not just with education, but we want to always also to extend that to our community members as well to kind of help us navigate through this trifling ass system that we call justice or accountability, whatever. So Roxanne, you want to kind of do an introduction of our guest today?
Absolutely. Now, these two brothers, they brothers from another mother, but I highly esteem them. And, they are my medicine. We are each other's medicine, but they're definitely my medicine. I'm so proud to have a connection and can be a community with them. Charles, you want to introduce yourself first, and then I'll let my brother Calvin.
There you go.
Sure. Hi, my name is Charles Elliott. I am a father of four. Um, been married for 21 years. Um, and I love my family. I love my community. So I think that's the most important thing to know about me. But I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a mental health therapist. I'm also a community activist, not in a formal way, but I make sure that my voice is heard when things are happening in my community. Um, and I do work with returning citizens. And for those who don't know what that is, those are people who are transitioning out of prison or those who have been previously incarcerated to help them to get their footing and to just to be independent in society. Among other things, I mean, I teach at Morgan State University. I'm an adjunct professor there. I do trainings with various topics, but I'm happy to be here and to just to have a discussion today.
Yeah, brother Calvin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Calvin Patterson. I am an entrepreneur. We have a consulting business called Ernest Harvest LLC.
Mm.
We assist folks with grant writing and fund development and capacity building. Former president of the Winston-Salem Black Chamber of Commerce, which is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where I reside. The husband of the queen, my wife Anita. We just celebrated 30 years of what I like to believe is happy, blissful marriage. She may have a different opinion on that from time to time, but I am grateful. And I guess I would have sum it all up by something that was mentioned in one of the meetings that Roxanne and Charles and I attend. Um, I'm a soldier, I'm a builder, and I'm a healer. A
Mm.
soldier because the fight for freedom, the fight for equity, the fight for justice is
Mm.
ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
and I am just one of many from now, the past, and the future. This
Mm.
trying to do something on an individual basis and connect with others like you all tonight. To keep the ball moving forward. A builder because we need to build. We were
Right.
the first builders, and that mission isn't over. We need to continue to build our families, build our communities, build out our nation. And then finally, a healer, right? This is mental health month. May is mental health month. And part of the healing process involves acknowledging that hurt has been done, and acknowledging that there are issues, there's dis-ease, disease. So,
Mm,
Mhm.
the healing part
Mm.
is getting well, staying strong enough to do the building and to do the fighting in the battle. So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the discussion tonight, and I'm truly grateful to be a part of this group.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely.
Now,
Before,
Roxanne, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I was going to ask brother Calvin about that picture behind him because we were
Well,
talking about.
no, don't ask about that just yet. 'Cause I want to ask
Yeah,
you a question first.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because I want to stem into the picture on that first because kind of how we're going back to before with the picture, with the satisfaction of that. We oftentimes talk about on our podcast about justice. And justice may we say it all the time too. That might look different for other people, right? What justice may look like. People may just think about justice only with the courtrooms, but should justice not start in the streets prior to you going to the courtrooms? And we said that before we got on the podcast. And your response to that was what, Roxanne?
I was saying that they're inextricably tied together because a lot of times what we do on a grassroots level ends up being what is legislated or even put into legislation, which we then can then go and get remedy for when we've been harmed, right?
Mhm.
So the idea of justice is inextricably tied to community because we're
Mm-hmm.
the ones that we have to stay. As a matter of fact, I think it was you that pointed out that a lot of this, the human rights parts of our Constitution are amendments. They weren't even
Mm-hmm.
part of the
Yes.
original documents because guess what? They
It
ain't
was the
want us
thought
to
about
have
us.
no human
That's right.
rights,
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
it was the people in the grassroots, in the neighborhoods, in the work in the plants, right? In the factories, in the
Mm-hmm.
sawmills, in the cotton fields. Come on, somebody that made it that said, no, we need these rights. And so yeah, the two are always going to be tied together.
So now let's talk about the picture that's behind him.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that picture, Brother Calvin.
So the portrait, the picture is of an ancestor, Martin Delaney.
Mhm.
Martin Delaney was born in the early 1800s. I'm not sure of the year, and he passed the late 1800s. I'm not sure of the year. The life of Martin Delaney is truly inspiring. He was born enslaved. He was manumated, meaning they officially legally made him a non-enslaved individual. Through his own gumption and efforts, he developed his natural abilities, becoming a doctor, becoming an attorney, and now I said an attorney, an attorney. Yeah, you talk justice, you talk the justice system.
Mhm.
Attorneys are involved in the justice system.
That's
And
right.
ultimately, when the Civil War occurred, he chose to be a warrior, to be a soldier in the army. I want to say that he made the rank of officer. And again, I have to look at some of my reference material to provide more details. But this picture, this photograph was taken at the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, which is a place that I strongly suggest you visit. We know about the one in DC.
Mm-hmm.
We know about the Schomburg in New York, and of course, there's many others. But the one in Charleston opened maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so it's still relatively new and fresh, and pretty reasonable to visit. So the whole idea with justice, right? Martin was an attorney, so it gave him personal, up close um, exposure to what the law said,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the soldier part of it, it would, did you see him in uniform, is okay, if you don't want to give me my rights according to the laws that you have yourself written, well, I
Mhm.
guess I need to fight. I
That's
guess I
right.
need to fight.
That's right.
I guess
That's
I
right.
need to fight.
That's right.
And so, yeah, that's the inspiration behind the picture, and his motivation and his achievements in life, I think, are very close related to our conversation tonight about justice.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And so when you talk about the idea that we need to fight, The reality is that we're seeing our voting rights have been, people say, dismantled or whatever. They have been snatched back, right? I like to say, they had the ball, they took the ball and ran home with it, so that we can't
Right.
even play
Ain't bring
ball
her
anymore.
back. Yeah.
Can't even bring it back. There's legislation. There's a on the court dockets with the Supreme Court to look at the idea of birthright citizenship, which could affect not just us sitting here, but everybody who is now in the so-called United States of America. So, how do we, in this present age, how do we get to the point where we're like, look, either you want to give us our what we, or what should we be doing?
Well, Roxanne, even before the guys even answer that question,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna maybe act. Let's still give a little bit of education about the why.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people need to understand why that's even important. So, can one of y'all even answer to us why it's even important to be concerned about birthright citizenship?
So, and Brother Calvin, did you want to go first?
I defer to you, my brother
Sure.
Charles.
All right. Yeah. So my mind goes to law and setting precedents. So what happens is anything that happens, and it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like something in the Constitution. If something happens in one state, lawyers can use that to build a case to uh, continue the effort. So I think about, you know, us making sure that people know about what's going on. I mean, that is, I mean, so if people don't know, because I mean, it's a lot that I didn't know about this. It's like I had a general idea, but once I started to research, I was like, wait a minute, I think we're in some trouble. And
Right,
we
right,
walk around
right,
smiling and buying food and spending money on this, spending money on that, but thinking about, wait a minute, some people, and these people, just like the gentleman that's standing behind you, Brother Calvin, I could imagine he was a serious person because he understood what was going on in the world. So, being educated, understanding that, and the why is that when something happens in one state, they can use that to make a case for something in another state. And if
Mhm.
all states do that, then
We screwed.
yes.
We're
So,
screwed.
yep. And that's the first thing to come to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Brother Cal, you want to answer the same question as well?
I love Brother Charles's response. He touched on awareness. He touched on the
Hmm.
fact that Martin Delaney knew what was going on. Now, if I think about what was going on in the mid 1800s,
Mm,
where there were free African Americans, but there were more enslaved African Americans, for him to be free, he had to, after he was granted his freedom, he started a family and all that, he had to learn how to navigate being free, right? So he had
Hmm.
to know, here's where I go, here's who I go to learn how to be an attorney, to learn how to be a doctor. um so he had an inquisitive mind, and I totally agree with Brother Charles in that in today's world, maybe unlike or maybe similar to back then, there is so much to think about and
Right,
keep up with.
right.
So much to think about and keep up with. But I think maybe what distinguished Martin from a lot of other folks, and maybe what distinguishes us, not making us better or worse, is that he knew what his mission was, right? He had a personal, I'm going to be free by any means necessary. Now, let me go back to knowing what's going on. For a lot of us, we don't know about the justice system
Right.
until we or one of our loved ones are directly involved in it. When we have someone much like you, Latoya, and you, Roxanne, mentioned with your sons,
mhm,
and how they were victims
Hmm.
of the law enforcement folks. Well, similarly, if even if you're not killed by them, if you're arrested or driving while black, right? You are not supposed to have this car because of what you look like and who you are. Is that justice? So I'm
Right.
saying all that to say this. As far as knowing what's going on, how many of us know this much about the legal system? How do the sheriffs become sheriffs? Oh, they get elected. Oh,
Mhm.
they actually have to run for office and, campaign and get votes, just like for president, just
Mhm.
like for governor, just like for senator. So for us to really move the ball forward, having a knowledge of how the sheriffs become sheriffs, how the judges become judges, how the Supreme Court folks become Supreme Court folks, it doesn't happen just because somebody likes them or not. It
Right.
happens because not enough of us, on the local level, and then on the state level, and then on the national level, say, you know, who are these folks running for sheriff? Should I be
Mhm.
concerned? Who are these folks running for associate judge of the Second Circuit? Blah, 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 blah. Should I be concerned? They will show the shiny stuff to us on MSNBC and Fox News and all that, the Supreme Court and their decisions. But justice for us should begin much more on the local level. And
Yeah.
to Charles's point, knowing what's going on the
Mhm.
local level. Because we're
Mhm.
not going to get stopped by the Secret Service unless we're doing something really crazy. We're going to get stopped by the local popo, by the state police, by the
Mhm.
county sheriffs. So our knowledge of how that little piece of the system works, that's where we start. That's where we get familiar. That's where we find. Then we have these smart HBCU attorneys
Mhm.
who can say, now listen, based on the current laws, here's what our strategy should be to
Mhm.
make it a more just system. Does it mean it will be totally just? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because to your point, Sister Roxanne, the Constitution was not made for us. The
Mm-mm.
Constitution and the Declaration of Independence,
Mm.
we were an afterthought, a side thought. It wasn't, we weren't even human. We were three-fifths of a
This
human
is a
being.
person.
So, how are we
Um,
going to treat them human now, 2026, if back 250 years ago,
yeah.
they wasn't human? No,
Yeah.
they were chattel.
Yeah,
That's
They were
right.
property.
Property.
that's right.
So
Property.
how
Absolutely.
much how much justice would you give to us versus how much justice would you give to a dog or a cow or a horse
Mm.
or a tree?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same sort of mentality that shaped that document that ultimately 2026, yeah, let's do some gerrymandering. Let's just take your right to vote.
Yeah.
Let's just take it.
Yeah. And see what
I've gone on enough there. Let me hit pause.
yeah,
No,
and
that's
see
great.
what you do, and take it from you, and then who gonna check me, boo? Right?
Mm,
Who gonna check me? Who gonna come? Who gonna have be the one that goes up and says, "No, we not
This is
taking that."
wrong.
And
Yeah.
so, how do we raise our level of consciousness to understand that we need to vote? Not only vote, we need to show up at the town hall meetings. We need to show up at the school board meetings. We need to show up because they basically have talked us out of our power when we
Right.
don't use our power to do ask for it, not ask for it, demand
The
justice.
man, yeah, and
demand
like
it.
I said, I
Demanding
like
it.
how he also. I kept hearing him say no. I kept hearing him saying no, no, to have to be in the no, right? Because
Mhm.
you're right. Before my son got killed, not only was I not necessarily in the no, but I would use the. I grew up in a very religious background, right? So it was convenient for me to kind of use that as like, well, hey, because I grew up like this, I can use it as leverage as to why I'm not doing something like this, right? But again, that wasn't an excuse because I felt like I was only doing just enough, but
Mhm.
not enough where it was going to make a more sort of impact until after Xavier was killed. But
Mhm.
it shouldn't have taken that tragedy for me to say, hey, all this stuff was going on. And because that's as we start peeling the layers back and just knowing more and more and more, it's like, wait, it gets worse and it keeps getting worse. So how are you not concerned about what's going on?
So Latoya, just a quick comment, and I think Brother Calvin, you mentioned this. Until something becomes personal, until something directly impacts your life, you have a totally different perspective
Whole different
on it.
perspectives.
So after,
Mm-hmm.
just like people who are cancer survivors, it's like if you have a family member that cancer survivor, now you are aware. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what am I eating? What am I inhaling? What's my stress level like? So all those things come, to mind because it directly impacts you. And I think if we can help people understand how these things directly impact them, I think we will get more traction in demanding justice.
And what Brother Charles, like you were saying too, it was like most of you guys were saying earlier, how culture has us thinking right now. Back in the 1800s, all we thought about was freedom because that was all that was on the table was freedom. So 24/7, it's still the same thing right now, but there's so many distractions right now that's put upon you. As for like we are saying all the time, you got people want to get the house, get the car, you got the bag, you going on the trip, you got all those things that in social media that's crazy too, right? As far as like those things that keep you constantly distracted as far as to not be aware of what's going on. So then when you got major things like this is going on right now, you either know what's going on or you don't know what's going on.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the idea of not waiting until they marching you down to the train station to take
That's
you to the
right.
concentration camp.
Hmm.
I
Whew.
don't know. I don't know about y'all. They're not gonna have an easy time marching me nowhere.
Me,
But
me, I
yeah,
got something for them
I'm not
tonight.
going. I'm not going
For real.
peacefully. I'm just not. Yeah, it's not
For real.
gonna happen. But to to your point, it's there's so many distractions, and I kind of think the distractions have caused us not to be able to even get on like one lane, have one
Absolutely.
mantra, because like like you're saying, even in the 60s, we're all, hey, we gonna boycott the bus, we not taking no Montgomery go. But now you got so many different things that people can't even hone in on. So I guess it even complicates the idea around how do you educate people, raise their consciousness level, and then get them to be on, want to just agree on something.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
one of the things I think is what we're doing right now, how to
Mm-hmm.
help
Mhm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Having an intentional conversation where we are talking about it, thinking about it, and sharing what ideas we have to address the issue. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mhm.
one thing to talk about, when I see or hear, having a conversation with Brother Charles or somebody else in my circle. Yeah, man. So who do you think's going to win the championship? Who's going to win the playoffs? Who's going to win the MVP? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to get the Grammys? What is the American? So we talk about stuff, we communicate about stuff, and that's part of what you mentioned, the being distracted about
Yeah.
the core issues. Something
Mm-hmm.
that comes to mind, a couple of things come to mind about
Mm-hmm.
how even when we hear so-called good news, to Brother Charles's earlier point about knowing what's going on, it can be the shiny thing that's being dangled that
Mm-hmm.
keeps us totally in the blank about what's happening. Two examples:
Yep. Yep.
the Emancipation Proclamation,
Mm.
signed by Abraham Lincoln in 1863.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of folks, starting with white folks,
Mm-hmm.
position that document as that's the document that freed the slaves. But that's a lie.
Hmm.
Nice.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
lie. It said you are freed if you're in one of the seceding states.
Right.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if you are in New York
Hmm.
or New Jersey or Pennsylvania, where, oh, by the way, they had slaves,
Mhm.
this does not apply to you.
Right.
So that's
Mhm.
one example of how even today, when we celebrate Juneteenth and others celebrations, we'll say unknowingly, many of us, you know that the Emancipation Proclamation that freed the slaves, right? Wrong. So
Right.
again, how do we know? We have conversations like this. We do some digging on our own. One of the beautiful things about the internet and AI is you can
Mhm.
ask a question now. That's
And
simple.
then spit an answer back out to you.
Bam,
Hmm.
bam, just like that. Second
Mhm.
example I'll give, a little bit closer to our topic tonight about justice, is the 13th Amendment
Mm-hmm.
that said, now you are free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all you enslaved folks, you are free. You're free. Oh, except if you are breaking the law.
Right.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, if you a criminal,
Yeah.
we we still got you. We still got you. We
Right.
Mm-hmm.
got you. Yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
you are, and who's making the laws to determine if we're a criminal or not?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
if you don't have, if you've been 1866 or 1867, if you don't have a place to say, to stay, to live, because you just been freed and you off the plantation and you trying to find your wife and your mother and your sisters and your children and all that, but if you don't have a place to stay, we can arrest you for vagrancy
That's right.
and trespassing. And so you thought you was free with this 13th Amendment that we
Yeah.
dangling in front of you saying the
Mm-hmm.
slaves are freed. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
gotcha. So to
Mm-hmm.
Brother Charles's point again, who who didn't say, nah, wait a minute, they doing the okey doke.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the okey doke. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
free unless you break the law, which
Mm-hmm.
should lead some of us brothers and sisters to say, nah, we ain't going out like that. We ain't
Right.
going out like that. We ain't going out like that. So I love Brother Charles's point about, and I know I sound like a broken record,
Yeah.
knowing,
No. Yeah.
not being so
I
distracted
understand.
that we don't
Mm-hmm.
ask ourselves questions about even the good stuff. Yeah, the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendments that say we are like equal now. Peel back the layers of that onion, because guess what? The
Absolutely.
enemy, the adversary, they know what I'm saying. They
That's
Mm-hmm.
know
it.
that. That's how come there's more percentage wise black and brown people in prison
Right.
Mm-hmm.
today,
Yes.
Today.
and really since the end of slavery, than
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
there are white folks. So
Yeah.
in
Yes.
this country, numerically, if they call us the minority, now we know globally we are not the minority. But
Right.
Right.
if you just look at the numbers in this country, how can we be the minority in the population? But from the 1800s on, the majority in prison.
Right.
This
Mm-hmm.
speaks to justice. This
Right.
speaks to laws and who makes the laws and who
Right.
enforces the laws. So
Mhm.
it's a tricky proposition, but conversations like this, intentional conversations where we are
Mm-hmm.
asking the questions and trying to come up with the answers, and
Mm-hmm.
then finding other like minds that will have that same conversation and come up with some answers. That's
Mm-hmm.
how things change.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
Brother Calvin, I like to say all the time we free-ish, right? We ain't free. Me and Roxanne, we'll go to Juneteenth and say, well, we're doing Juneteenth, but we kind of free-ish, y'all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't forget they got them chains in the background, right? Because
Woo!
again, we're not, but that takes the point of going back to the education of it and making sure that you understand like what it is. Because again, like Roxanne said at the beginning of the podcast, what you even mentioned, those are amendments.
Mm-hmm.
So either 13 or 14, whether they dangling in front of us or not, we wasn't originally even thought about from the start. They had to kind of say, "Oh yeah, the people," right? Again, it was kind of like, "Hold on, wait." So like the picture that you got behind you, as community, we have to kind of build up together and say, hey, we don't keep taking this and we
Yeah.
will stop doing these things. So Roxanne, we like to say all the time, we about that action.
Yeah.
What can we do or what words can you guys say to the community that will help people understand? Because we got a lot of folks who they like to bark from the porch, but they don't get up and bite no damn body, right? So we ain't trying to do that, right? And I'm serious. We want somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
gonna jump off the porch and bite some damn body. So
Right.
how do we encourage that person to understand, even if you got that knowledge in your brain, don't be just sitting here on social media being a social media thug, want to write paragraphs upon paragraphs. That's
Make
only
a
gonna get you but
manifesto.
so far. I'm
Mm-hmm.
serious. So what?
Mm-hmm.
How do we get out of the culture doing that and actually take it and being about that action for real to actually get some kind of change? People understanding to not only know what's going on, but to do something about it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Brother Calvin, I like to start because you illuminate points that I make. I love listening to you. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can get 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 in your ear a little bit, or allow me to, you know, to do vice versa. But um like how, I think, you know, we talked about a little bit. making it personal, to people. Um, because if people don't see like how something affects them,
They're not gonna do nothing.
they're not. And
Mhm.
so looking at like locally, I know some people and nationally, national voting, I don't really get into that. I won't even share my perspective on that. But local voting, I'm all in. I am looking at people because I know that. And so, all right, let me back up a little bit. So when you think about societies that have revolutions,
Mhm.
they're usually younger. So you have like a younger generation, maybe from like 15 up to maybe 22, 23. The higher
Mhm.
the population of that group, the more likely there is to be a revolution. So
Mm.
Mm.
because the way that they're thinking, they are thinking against the grain. I mean, just developmentally, they are
Mhm.
questioning things, and they're like,
Yes.
"Well, why is it different for me?" And you kind of have things, the way you want them. That's not fair. So let's
Mhm.
make it fair. Let me voice. Let me get out and march. And if I have to fight, like physically fight, I'll do that. As we get older, I think some people who are moving towards retirement or people who are retired, they have more time to figure out what's going on. So people in between that, you know, like young adulthood and older adulthood, they're busy. They're like the sandwich generation. I mean, they're trying to figure out how to make ends meet, and they don't have the energy to even do any of this stuff. So how do we preserve the energy? I mean, it goes back for me. It may seem like it's going off topic, but I think it's relative. It's like how are you eating? How are you moving? How are you thinking? How are you sleeping? How's your spiritual life? All those things help you to kind of make meaning of what's going on with you right now. So if those things are absent, then we're just in this rat race. And if
Yeah.
it's not hurting us physically or financially, it's like I don't really care.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
helping people understand that like these people, and I think people are starting to understand it a little more now, that when you have people in power that's dictating like how you live, it's like it affects you. I mean, people are seeing that all over the nation now.
Mhm.
And if we help them to understand that that happens on a local level as well, I think
Right.
that can get people more involved.
Right.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Oh, brother Charles, you give me so much to work with, man. I'm telling you, the holistic. I love what you said. It's real. The holistic as a human being, right? As
Mhm. Mhm.
human beings,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Trying to live a balanced life.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Sister Roxanne and I, and you've been there too, Brother Charles, and then in our Mbangi meetings where we talk about the spiritual component of not just our ancestors, but living today. So when you mentioned the holistic balance, how are we resting? How are we sleeping? What sort of exercise are we getting? All of
Mhm.
that plays a role in what you said about the
That's true.
energy. Because here's the deal. Speaking for myself, I can know what I need to do,
Mhm.
whatever that is. Um, I heard from was exposed to this theory from Stephen Covey,
Oh.
guy who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People back in the late 90s.
Mhm.
He's non-melanated, but the principles that he discussed were good, right? And he talked about a habit. What makes a habit? And one of the things that sticks out is um, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, a healthy habit or an unhealthy habit, you had to have 3 components. You had to know what to do, what it is that I want to do, whatever that is, good or bad.
Mhm.
I have to know how to do it.
Mhm.
But then the third and most important component is, do I want to do it? Which
Mm.
Mhm.
leads to,
Mhm.
what do we do with our people?
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can tell them by listening to the podcast and by referencing different people, Martin Delaney and all the other folks that we know, ancestors and non-ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
who inspired us, showed us what to do. Right? This is what you do if you want to be free. This is what you do if you want to move from not being enslaved to having a productive, healthy family and society. This is what
Right.
you do. We have some personal examples of that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they talked about spirituality. I talked about getting an education, and they talked about don't spend all your money, and they talked about save for a rainy day. So we know what to do, and we
Right.
know how to do it. But to Brother Charles's point, and this is why I said I love what you shared, brother. It was like, do I want to do it?
Yeah.
Do I know what to do? I know how to do it. I know what to do to be free. I
Mm-hmm.
know how to do it. Yeah, I need to register to vote, and I need to attend the town hall meetings and the school board meetings. But when I'm tired, and
Sick and
this is
tired.
one of the
That's true.
examples that
Mm-hmm.
for my mom, this is sort of what reminds me that I can be tired and still do what I want to do. She would
That's true.
work all day as a domestic servant, and come home after working 8 to 10 hours. And every night she would read to me. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
some of the books would be like W.E.B. Du Bois stuff. And I'm like a kid saying, like, what?
Right.
What is this all about? And some of it would be, cartoons and comic books. But here's my point. She could have just as easily said, nah, I've been working 8 hours, 10
I'm going to go to
hours,
bed.
cleaning the what. Yeah, I'm telling you, look,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. But she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Sister Latoya, when you went and did the legal work to
Mm-hmm.
get before the Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
that was knowing what to do, how to do it, but not saying, "Oh no, that's too big for me."
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not Kamala Harris, an
Yeah.
attorney. I'm not a Thurgood Marshall. I'm not even Clarence Thomas. I'm not even
Oh,
Anita
thank
Hill.
God.
I'm
Yeah.
not even Anita Hill. No, I'm too tired. You wanted to do it,
That's
and
true.
that
That's true.
wanting to do it made you push aside all the reasons, all the excuses slash
Mm-hmm.
reasons that you
Mm-hmm.
did it. So my role is
Mm-hmm.
to continue to share. This is what we need to do, and remind myself. See, because I'm not on some pedestal. Sometimes I'm going to play the tape and I'm going to listen to what Brother Charles and Sister Roxanne and Sister Latoya said, because it's easy to talk it, but then sometimes I forget and I get
That's
distracted. So
yeah.
then I got to look
Yeah.
at the podcast and what did I say? Oh yeah, that's right. So the point here being, yeah, we need to keep doing on an individual basis and in our circle with the kids that, to your point, Brother Charles, yeah, they may seem like they ain't really paying attention because they kids, they busy,
But they are.
But they
Hello?
are.
Hello?
Yeah.
They
That's what I'm
are.
saying. This is
Yeah.
what you do, this is how you do it, and hopefully we showing them that they need to want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Right.
mom
I
used to
rest my
always say,
case.
she would always say back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, people make time for what they want. My
Mm-hmm.
mom will always say that. And then go back to what you're saying too. I remember being my early 20s. I remember on Sundays, we would go out to the club and still go to work on Monday. Right? Because we had to still go to work. Right? So I was like, again, we had to want to go to work. So again,
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
that want, that factor of the want and what you want to do. And I get it. Because I hear people say all the time, they have kids to take care of and they have all these other outside factors. So how do they make time in order to fight for justice? I get that. But at the same time, too, finding that balance, it has to be some kind of way of finding that balance of doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that reminds me of what my grandfather used to say. He was a Baptist preacher. He was one of the most, I mean, prolific thinkers I think I've ever experienced, even through reading a whole lot of books. But he used to use all these terms and these funny terms. But he said you have to have a want to do anything. You have to have a want to, and
Yes,
having a want to will get you where you want to go.
that's
If
Mm-hmm.
right. That's
without
right.
that, then I mean, you're wandering. So having a want to is going to be important. And the question is, do we focus our attention on people who want to versus using our energy on those who just don't want to? And
Right.
Wow.
if we
Wow.
do,
That's true.
then I mean, will we see more traction? Could the people who want to influence the others that don't?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was going to add that we have an opportunity to do some nation building to influence people in our own circle. So, like
Right.
we were talking the other day in Iron Bongi about nation building, starting our own families. Now, Charles got a small nation over there with
I do. And look, and I put them to work too. I put
okay.
them
That's
to
right. That's
And
right.
so and
That's
so
right.
instead of letting some unknown Instagram influencer influence your children, your family, y'all sitting around having a conversation, maybe over a dinner, over a meal, or having some kind of a meeting night in a family or a situation, right? And talking about the things that matter, so
Exactly.
that you can start to influence them about being conscious and aware of things that matter. Oh, you ain't got no family? That's all right, because there's a family that we might have by DNA, but there's also family that we just connect to because we
That's
we have
right.
like-minded.
That's
Getting that
right.
family together and starting to talk about some of this stuff, and being the influence. Did you know? And by the way, right?
There you
Instead of
go.
getting together and talking about nothing, right? and
Right.
so and so so being very intentional about planting those seeds with people who are already in our sphere of influence. I think that's one way that we can kind of move this ball forward, right? This is how we can
Ajay.
move it forward.
Okay.
Ajay.
So, Sister Rox, I have a short story to share around that. So I remember attending the University of District of Columbia, also known as UDC, and I was admitted into the social work program. And there was this guy that came to class. I mean, he was serious. I mean, he never smiled. He was a serious guy. And when he spoke, he talked about community organizing.
Mm.
And after the semester, I was like, wait a minute. I said, that's something I want to get into. But I said, I didn't know how. He gave me the best advice. I'll never forget this. And this was almost over 20 years ago. He said, start small, start within your home. And
Yeah.
why I'm saying this is because of what you're saying, Roxanne.
Mhm.
Start in your home,
Mhm.
branch out to your neighborhood,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
go broader.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
influencing people that you have direct contact with is going
That's
to
right.
be the best vehicle of influence because they
Yes.
know you, they respect you,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
just branch out.
Yes.
So I just think that's important to talk about because we can start in our house,
In our house.
in our home.
Mhm.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Mhm.
That's
Turn
Mhm.
right.
off that Wi-Fi. You pay for it. You get to turn it on and off.
Right. Right.
Turn off the Wi-Fi.
Right.
You get everybody's
If I
attention.
say, people will take the time to gossip about celebrities and who they're sleeping with and stuff like that. But when it comes to actual, real tabletop conversation that we should have in our households, we don't have it. Like I said again, I didn't grow up talking about politics with my parents, like at all. So the culture of doing so, it wasn't something that we did, but I can't use the excuse of that being the reason we don't do it now. When you
Mhm.
know better, you do better, right? So
Right.
if you know it's
Right.
wrong, you say, okay, now, hey, I know now it might not be comfortable for my friends to talk about politics, but again, in order for us to be friends, we got to talk about politics.
Talk about
So
it.
somebody has to be uncomfortable, say, hey, let's talk about something different right now. It can't always be hair and nails and stuff like that. Let's talk about what's going on around the nail shop that's controlling how the nail shop actually got here. Let's talk
Right.
about those things, who's controlling those things. How come East Nail Shop is a whole bunch of Koreans on every block and no black nail shops? You should be wondering those things, right? But again,
Ooh.
it comes
Mm.
about who controls those things. If you're not into politics, you're not gonna know. So you don't know what you don't know.
That's
Mm.
right. That's
So
right.
true.
That's
So
right. And
true.
I always say you might not be into politics, but politics is into you. Politics is in
Hello.
your pocket. They want to be in your bedroom. They want to be in the. They want to be everywhere you don't want them to be.
Yep.
So you might not be into politics, but politics controls every aspect of our lives.
It
Every
does.
aspect of our lives, right?
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
politics is about power,
Yes.
and power is intentional, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we're born with
Yes.
a certain amount of natural, you know, stuff that we are working with because God gave it to us, right? But concentrated power
Mm-hmm.
is like intentional, and that's what politics is. Y- Again, going back to looking at the legal system and saying, what is the legal system? You know,
Right.
who's in the legal system? How do they become who they are in the legal system? Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with politics. Now, voting is good. We need to register. It is a right. It is a responsibility. But it also, going back to, I'm too tired to look at the biography of who's running.
Right.
I'm too
Right.
tired to look at the folks who
Right.
are already in office who are asking for another vote of mine. What did they
Mm-hmm.
vote for? Did they support gerrymandering? Or did they
Right.
support those crazy Supreme Court justices that just
Mm-hmm.
did they? So the knowing the nuts and bolts of the system, and to be clear, maybe that isn't for all of us, but maybe that is for some of us to tell the others
The
who
rest
don't
of
have the
us.
time or the frame of
That's right.
mind to
That's right.
say, yeah, now if you have a situation personally where you and your family have been a victim and you plan to go to the Supreme Court. Now, if I
Mhm.
first heard something like that, it'd be like, come on, man, you crazy. Don't be blowing that's pie in the sky stuff, you know. That's but then it's like, no, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. There's a sister. I know a sister. And that's exactly what she did. Oh, she must have been to like Harvard Law School, Columbia Law
Oh
School.
no.
She was up there with Barack and Michelle, right?
Oh
What?
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, so she figured out some stuff
Right.
because she wanted to. Even with her other roles and responsibilities, she did the finding out the details and
Mm.
then handled it herself. So
Yeah.
so the point here is you did it and Roxanne did it for her situation and brother Charles did it for his situation and brother Calvin's doing it for his situation. And to your point, Roxanne, there's others like us. There's
Mhm.
Right.
others like us that are like, okay, what I don't know, I want to find out, and you help me find out. You point me in the right
That's
direction.
it.
You,
That's
like
Right.
it.
Brother Charles was saying, let me just observe, even though you're not talking a whole lot. When you get to the end of the semester, it's like you need to do some community organizing. Well, you could have said, yeah, well, that ain't my cup of tea, man. I ain't got time for that. But something said, I want to find out
Yeah.
more, and
Very
then
much.
here we are tonight. So yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I see the big picture, but it's
Mhm.
always tied to the big picture. How do I look at the grass? How do I look at the grass before
Mhm.
I look at the garden? You know, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the little stuff in the weeds that again can distract me, take my progress, make me think I'm doing something, and then it's like, oh no, what? They getting ready to deport me? Where? Because of this
Yeah.
bill? That what?
Yeah.
But wait
But
a
you
minute,
got.
I'm an
I'm gonna say
American.
this
I'm an
too.
American. I fought in the Civil War like
You
Martin
was
Delaney
an
behind.
American.
You was. You
You was
was.
an American.
And look, like you
Wait a
said,
minute.
it's the
Wait a minute.
stuff
I
in the
voted for you.
weeds.
I
Yeah.
voted for
Yeah.
And,
Hello.
and
That's what you think.
but
mhm.
it's all good
But
because
as
I
you were
I know
saying though,
justice will prevail. There's
as
Yeah.
you were
divine
saying,
justice.
the stuff in the weeds, I think, is what part of the issues are. I like to describe the stuff in the weeds like a crack foundation. You would not continuously build a house if you know the foundation is cracked. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna attempt to fix it, right? Because at some point in time, because like you just said, what's in the weed is what's causing the flowers not to bloom.
Mm.
Mm.
You know, and
Wow.
that's that kind of looking from that kind of perspective of it, right? And like
Mhm.
Brother Charles said earlier too, we can't necessarily because I do get distracted sometimes by the folks who are not doing certain things. But it's like, okay, hey, do we pay attention to the ones who are not doing it, or do you find a community of folks who are doing those things? Because in my mind, I feel like we should all be caring. But at one point in time, I was that same person who was not aware. So I can't necessarily feel like that either. So I think, like you said too, how do you just do it right here, local at your own house, start local at your own area? And I got this in the mail. I want to share out my
All right
for
now.
voting,
That's right.
for
All right
voting.
now.
So
All
you
right now.
know,
All right.
so you get it in the mail, so you can't say they don't mail you these forms and stuff, so you can know what actually is going on.
On the ballot. Yeah. And I think, connecting with one another in community
Yes.
strengthens our humanness. Because I don't know, Now I don't know if you don't think I'm a little, little cray cray, but there is a movement afoot to make people unhuman. We
Yeah.
see
Oh,
some
for
I
real? No, you
see
not
some
cray
people
cray. You
I
are not
see
cray
some
cray.
people that I get a question mark about their humanness. They're
Mm,
lacking empathy. They're lacking in compassion. They're lacking in having just common positive regard for their fellow human being. I
Yeah.
question whether or not they have been turned into some other entity. Hmm.
mm.
Yeah, and our
That
ability to keep the connections going, our ability to have conversation and to listen to one another, not just listen
Just
for a response,
talk.
but to
Yeah.
actually listen. It
Yeah.
it definitely helps to keep us as human beings,
Yeah.
as human
Ashe.
beings, and
Ashe.
never before have do we need to be, because it's a movement afoot, y'all.
Mm.
mm, mm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All
mm.
right.
Well,
It's like
we're feeling pretty hopeful now, aren't we?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all ever seen that
Excited.
movie. I was looking for the name of it. It was a movie with Jeff Goldblum, and it was back in the '80s, and they all started turning into these like creatures.
Yeah.
They would come in through your nose and take out your, I guess, your brain and make you like a plant like creature. And Goldblum's character was one of the few left, and he saw a friend of his. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad they didn't get you." And
And they
Jeff
got him.
Goldblum, and they and but they
I
had
think
got
I
him
know what you're
too.
talking about.
But
Yeah.
Roxanne,
Yeah,
that,
you
that
know
Mhm.
that
goes back to
movie.
what you said.
I think so.
Wow.
That's those
Mhm.
shiny things that he said earlier. You
Hmm.
know, it's those shiny things that people they will take the bait now in order to not to care about certain things.
Yes.
They'll take all those vacations and the houses and the cars and the greeds, and to them, once they got those things, the problems of the world are not their problems anymore. You
Hmm.
know, and that's how culture has taught us. So that's how it is. So it's kind of like you said earlier. How do we get back to saying, okay, hey, you got those class folks that might be doing it over here, but you got the ones who saying, well, damn, I can't even afford that $5 gas to get to this little $15 job
Mm.
while I'm trying
Mm.
to pay the
Mm.
rent and stuff. You know,
Wow.
so that's how the culture really is. So, you know, how do we kind of find that balance in between the two where you got the ones who think, well, I made it, so I ain't got to worry about these ones down here. But it
Hmm.
can't be like that because the society still affects everybody.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it was something Brother Calvin was saying when I took a little break. I had to stand up; my knees are killing me. But you know, connecting, just making sure that people, if we can encourage people to be connected to like one issue. I
Yeah.
think one issue within it is so like within voting rights. I mean, there are a lot of things to focus on. So connecting something that directly impacts them and just having them to research it and see how just make it more real to them so that
Yes.
they can utilize that information to study people who are running for office so they can choose the person that best align with
With
their
Yes.
so I think
Mhm.
that's something that's like a takeaway because that's like y'all, I'm talking about all the issues, but we're here talking about how can we help to influence, how can we what type of strategies we can use to help move things forward, and I
Hmm.
think that is one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna tag onto that real fast too. And even with for our podcast, we talked to a lot of families who have been affected by police brutality, right? You guys, one of the major steps that I would say for us when going to the Supreme Court, to any court, was finding out who appointed the judges. That was like major
Mm-hmm.
because if you're sending a petition to a judge, you want to know, was they appointed by Donald Trump? Were they appointed by Biden? Because you might not know exactly how they're thinking, but you'll have a kind of general perspective of what they may be thinking. So
Right.
again, you want to always relate the podcast back to how you're fighting for justice. What he just said, know about if you're fighting for your just even your own personal case, know who the prosecutor is, know who appointed them, know how many times they've been in office, know all those things. Don't just say my lawyer's gonna handle it. No, you should be telling the lawyer what's going on, and they should go on according to what's going on with your case or whatever. You need to be in the forefront of everything.
That's right. That's right. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And like the brother said, politics is about power.
Mhm.
Politics is about the dissemination of resources based on who has the what?
The
Power.
power.
Woo.
And Sister Roxanne, I want to provide just a gentle pushback on that comment because I remember being in a training of probably about 150 social workers,
Mm,
and there was a question that was posed to everyone. They said, "Well, is knowledge power?"
Mm.
mm,
And
Mm.
about 99% of the people said yes. It was me and one of the other co-facilitators. I wasn't a facilitator. I was a participant.
mhm.
And my perspective, they was like, well, there were two people who said knowledge was in power. Why? And my perspective is that power, well, knowledge is power if you use it.
Hello.
So this
Hello.
having it,
Hello.
Okay.
You don't mean
Okay.
nothing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that I just wanted to provide like just a
Oh
general.
yeah, it's a little
I
nuance.
like that. I
I
like
like
that.
that though. I like
Yeah, I
that.
like
That was a
that.
bar. That was a bar, brother
Yeah, I
Charles.
like that. All day. All
Yeah.
day.
You can have
For
a
real.
sledgehammer. If you don't know what to do with
Yeah.
the sledgehammer, then it ain't gonna do you no good.
Exactly.
Well, that goes back to being on the porch barking and don't jump on the bitch and bite.
True.
That
Oh
goes to the
Lord.
same kind of concept,
Yeah.
right? Because people will say all day long they'll have that knowledge in here, but they won't use it.
Yeah, how you
So if you're
gonna
not
get
using, what's the point? So you're
yeah.
exactly right.
Mm.
Yes, yes. You can have
Well,
all the
I think there's another component, and you're absolutely on point, brother Charles. But to add to
Come
that
on,
absolute point,
come on, Brother Calvin.
it takes some courage because
Ah,
see, I can have
ah,
knowledge, I can have the ability to do something,
that's
but
right.
I could hear a little voice in my head saying,
Mm, mm, mm.
"Nah, don't do
Don't
that."
do it. Don't do
Or
it.
You
Yeah.
know what's going to happen if you
Mhm.
use that power.
Mhm. Mhm.
Someone's gonna try to
Mhm.
take your power. They're gonna think that you powerful. And it's better to
Mhm.
be going back to your point, Latoya. So some spiritual circles say, be humble and turn the other cheek. Now
Oh my God.
I'm not minimizing spirituality or Christianity or Jesus or none of that. I'm not doing that. But
Mhm.
I can know what to do, know how to do it, want to do it, but then but mama said don't do that because
Mhm.
daddy said, or how about this one? The white man said, don't
Oh
don't
my
do don't
God.
don't do that now.
Oh
Don't
my
don't you
God.
do that because if you
Yep.
do that, you know
Yep.
what happened to Martin Luther King, right?
Yep.
yeah,
If you're
Yep.
gonna do that, you know what happened to Malcolm, right?
yeah,
Yep.
If you're gonna do that, you know what happened to Paul Robeson, right?
Yep.
If you
right,
go, but
right.
then I flip the script and say, yeah, okay, I know what happened. What did you see that man behind me, Martin Delaney? He did that.
Mhm.
He wasn't scared,
What happened to him?
Okay. He went out with a bang and the way that he wanted to, free in mind,
Free.
body, and spirit. So yeah,
Hello.
it takes some
Yeah,
courage. Yeah,
yeah,
That's
it's
right.
knowledge is power, and having that desire to do something with it, right on point. But
Mhm.
I gotta find some courage. I gotta,
Mm.
Okay.
and maybe the courage comes from the ancestors. Maybe the courage comes
Mm.
from people in my circle like y'all. Maybe the courage comes from my God or goddess or deities to
yeah,
say, now as a human being on this earth,
yeah,
you deserve justice.
Right.
yes.
You deserve it. So yeah, if you got some power and it comes through voting, do that. If it comes through running for office, do that. If it
Yeah,
comes to going before the Supreme Court on my own, do that. If it
yeah,
comes to going down to the school board meeting, or if it comes to talking to some of my family or in my circle, and they may be scared, because
Yeah.
it's safer on the plantation than it
mm,
is to be freed as
Yeah.
a,
isn't
you know, it's a whole
isn't
lot
it?
less risky if I just know that I'm just going to be here doing the same thing over and over again. It's safer. I have less to
Mhm.
worry
Mhm,
about. So I don't know
Mhm.
about getting some power to be free. Then I got to be responsible. I
Oh.
got to be responsible
Oh.
for my
mhm,
freedom. I got to be
Oh.
responsible for my choices. I got to
right,
Mhm.
be responsible for accepting when it goes right and things went according to
What's
plan
wrong?
and
Yeah.
it's and when oops. Upside my head said, "Oops,
Mhm.
upside my head." I know y'all ain't old enough to remember that song. It's
I
all
Oh,
Yes,
remember.
good.
we
the
I
do.
bigger the
remember.
headache, the bigger the
The
pill.
bigger the
So,
pill.
so we just
Uh-huh.
came up with an equation. So we have
Yeah.
knowledge plus
Power.
courage, plus the utilization of the knowledge equals power.
That's
Hello,
right.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
hello,
Love that.
mm,
Yeah.
hello.
mm.
Because
Let's
you gotta
trademark,
have all three
copyright
of
it.
those.
That's
Yeah.
Come
right.
on.
I like that.
Mhm. Yeah, and having the courage of your conviction is
Amen.
so important.
Amen.
Amen.
It's so important
Yeah.
because you don't want to be like a toothless lion,
Hmm.
right? Sitting on the porch
Hello,
yakking, talking loud and saying nothing. You know that's
hello.
talking loud and saying nothing.
So
Right.
Roxanne, let's reiterate one more time. I like
Yes.
that equation. I really like that equation because some folks might not have gotten that. Can you reiterate that just one more time, that equation we kind of came up with?
Oh, what did you say, Brother
Brother
Charles?
Yeah,
Charles.
yeah. So knowledge plus courage plus the utilization of the knowledge equals power.
Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
feeling it.
I like that.
Mhm.
I
Feeling
like
that.
that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a
Wow.
lot.
Wow.
Yeah, and everybody has the ability to do those things,
Yep.
Right.
right?
Yep.
If you ain't got some courage, get some courage. Knowledge. Hey, ain't nobody. There's AI, and I like to say African intelligence when I say AI.
Hello.
There's
Hello.
there's Google, and you can find out anything. It ain't like we're back in the day we had to go to the library. The library comes to you. It's in these devices, these things you call smartphones. So
Hello.
you don't have to go. You ain't got to leave your house to get knowledge, to get full of knowledge. But then learning how to wield that knowledge is where the power comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you want to be able to know when to use a sledgehammer, when to
Mm-hmm.
use a play of plies, when to
Mm-hmm.
use tweezers, when to use what for what, right?
There
What
you go.
tool? What
Yeah,
tool?
so that's the wielding of your knowledge that wills to makes the power effective. How about
Nick
that?
goes,
Ashe.
Roxanne, I'm gonna offer
Absolutely.
this too. I'm gonna say this real fast too.
Mhm.
No one's asking everybody to be the quarterback of the team.
No.
Like everyone's not gonna have the same amount of courage. Everyone's not gonna have the same amount of power. But you say it all the time. If we all at least attempted to do a little bit of something, a
Mhm.
little bit, no one has to be the hero.
That's
You
right.
know,
Right.
like no one has to have to walk around saying, "Oh, I carried this on my back." So
No.
figure out what your little bit of piece of something to do. For my church people who love to say we can pray about it. At one point in time, David had to pick the stone up to throw at Goliath.
Throw
Mm,
that
Period.
bad boy.
He
mm.
prayed about it, but he had to pick the stone up in order to actually throw it into the action of
Mhm.
it or whatnot.
That's right.
So you
That's right.
can pray all you want to, but you got to give God something to work with at the same time. So this applies
Ashe.
to everybody, not
Everybody.
just the people who's going through this or not. This applies to everybody. If you got a residency or your zip code is anywhere in the United States, this applies to you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ashe.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, they coming for you next. All right. We're gonna wrap this up. But my brothers, y'all got any final thoughts before we wrap this up? This has been a very enriching conversation.
Yes,
Mhm.
Always,
yes.
always.
I defer to Brother Charles.
Well, I can't believe we've been talking for over an hour.
I
It didn't seem
know.
like that long. And I'm just honored to be asked to be a part of something like this. I mean, it means a lot to me when you ask. So it will never be a no, not unless I'm physically unable. It will always be a yes because it's an honor to me. It's a way of giving back, and it also helps me to stay current on issues. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
minus doing this because I wanted to be aware of what was going on before I came on, and I learned more about being a participant here. So I just wanted to say that and just end off with Roxanne. You started with knowledge. Brother
Mhm.
Calvin came in with the courage, came in with the utilization of knowledge equals power. I'm just going to drop the mic with that.
Hey.
Woo!
That's the fight.
My
That's the
man. My man. Well, I want to echo Brother Charles's gratitude just for being part of the discussion tonight. I am tremendously inspired by you, Sister Roxanne, and by you, Sister Latoya. um, in ways that you may not even realize beyond the podcast, you provide courage.
Mm,
Just knowing what you are doing to stay
mm,
informed and keeping others informed. And of course, Brother Charles and Sister Roxanne and I meet rather regularly in the Mbangi
Mm,
meeting, so we are each other's medicine.
I
We,
like
yeah.
we help each other heal. We help
Mhm.
each other stay strong. We help each other stay focused. We help each other stay loved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love, I'm not talking about sexual love. I'm talking about the kind of love where you just want people to be okay. And part of that being
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay is what we focused on tonight,
That's
justice.
it.
We want people to be treated justly. So
Yeah.
this podcast and the commitment that you and Roxanne have in making it happen regularly, consistently.
Mhm.
That's another piece, not hit or miss every now and then. I got to get my hair done. We can't do it tonight. Oh, I got a hangnail. My toe. Hey, Brother Charles, my knees is hurting and I don't feel like, you know, no, consistently y'all show up. And that again, that provides an example. That provides a model of courage and
Yeah.
consistency. And yeah, I could be doing other stuff, but I'm committed. I'm committed to
Yeah.
myself and my family and my people and justice and freedom. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
Thank
the
you. Thank
opportunity. Thank you for the example that you said, and how much like Brother Charles said, just give me a holler when you're ready for round three.
And definitely keep that in mind. And as you were speaking about showing up, that's a perfect segue into our upcoming things that we're gonna be doing.
All
Yes.
right.
So on May the 30th, we'll be up in Baltimore for Donnell's Day. We'll put a flyer
Yes.
on on our Facebook page. But if you can show up for Donnell's Day in Baltimore, as we remember Donnell, who was tragically taken by uh, police violence. On Juneteenth, June the 19th, we'll be down in Hampton Roads area, down in Norfolk, Virginia. Yes. We'll be a part of the Urban League's Juneteenth celebration at the park down there, but the one
Yeah,
that's
down
by
in
the.
Portsmouth. Yep.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Awesome.
you. And
Awesome.
so we're gonna have a couple of tables there. We'll have a
Mhm.
display. Latoya has done a wonderful job of putting together a display that has a lot of people who have been victims of police violence. Because we not letting you forget. We
And I'm gonna
not.
say this too,
We
Roxanne.
really not
On
gonna let
our
you
on
forget.
our display, we literally put up there because we want people to know they'll be out there celebrating quote unquote Juneteenth, but qualified immunity still exists. So
Mhm.
again, we free-ish because
Mm,
again,
Free-ish.
we're
mm.
you can't really talk about Juneteenth when you still got officers who's getting away with qualified immunity. So
Yeah.
come visit us because we will have a display out there to make sure
We
people
won't be out
understand
there.
that while you buy merchandise, be sure to look all these stories up of all these cases that we're still currently fighting at the same present day.
That's right. That's right. And then on June the 20th, we'll be commemorating Zay Day, which is Xavier's, Latoya's beautiful son, commemorating his birthday is the 21st.
No,
But
his birthday's on the 12th of June, but we're
okay,
gonna do
I
it
thought
because
it
of
was.
the Juneteenth weekend.
Okay, okay, but we'll be doing we'll have a know your rights session because
Yes.
we like to do we have a little bit of fun and then we have a little bit of education. So we'll have a know your rights seminar. We'll have a lawyer down there to help us to kind of co-lead that. We're gonna have some was it 3-on-3 basketball?
Yeah, we got a tournament
Thank
going
you.
on, you guys. So yeah, be sure to visit our page for sign up.
Yes.
We're gonna have like Roxanne already said, we have an attorney as well as gonna help. But we like doing more things interactive. So it
Right.
won't just be him talking; it will be the audience interacting as well. Be sure to sign up. We have gift cards given away. Thus far, up to about $400 in gift cards.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Mm-hmm.
gift cards. We're gonna also be able to have this virtually as well, but you got to be in attendance to get the gift cards.
Get the
So
gift cards.
registration is online. Be sure to
Mhm.
sign up.
And we're gonna have
Where's that event?
some.
Absolutely. Oh,
Where
it's
is
gonna be
that
in
on the
Norfolk,
20th?
Norfolk,
It's
Virginia.
gonna be
That's
in
in
Norfolk,
Norfolk.
Virginia.
Oh,
The
both of them.
flyer
Okay.
you can find a flyer on our Facebook page, Life After the Impact. And
Okay.
for y'all that think y'all can ball, bring your sneakers and
Bring it.
lace them up, and 3-on-3 basketball. And they got
Yeah,
some
bring it.
prizes for that too. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be some food there. We're going to have fun. We're going to interact with each other and practice being human. How about that?
So,
And that's what we got for so far, right? That's what we
last
got.
time I said, don't
Right.
forget to always like,
Yes.
share, and
And
subscribe.
subscribe to Life After the Impact, because we
One
are
one last question,
yes, sir.
Roxanne and Latoya.
Yes, sir.
Life After the Impact is a 501c3 nonprofit,
Absolutely.
correct? So that
Yes, it
means
is.
that we can donate to Life After the Impact. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's a tax deductible donation.
Yeah. And you can do it through our website. So
You
how
can do
about
it through our
that?
website.
You can do it
Thank
right
Awesome.
you
from our
for reminding us.
website.
Thank you for reminding us. Yes, because
Awesome.
sometimes
Awesome.
we get lost in the sauce. We forget about that. Send money. We like money. Money is because it's a resource that helps us do what? Get the power.
That's
Exactly.
true.
It's for the
Exactly.
the purpose
So
of
she
the
has the courage to ask for the money, right? So
All
yes,
we
right.
can do
All
it.
right. All right.
yes,
That's what I'm
yes,
talking about. Because
yes. You
there
got to
are
have the
people that
courage.
will support you. I know it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. This has been Life After the Impact. Do not sit there and act like you can't do nothing, because we just gave you a whole lots of things that you can do. And get with like-minded people, because that strengthens your courage and your confidence. Do that.
Right.
Do that. Yeah. But do something, because we got to be about that action. Until next
That's
time,
actually.
peace
And power.
and power.
Encourage.
And courage.
Ashe, ashe.
Hey.